question from me. So we'll pass it back to Joey, if we could. Thank you very much. Okay, so the first question is, what 4 main issues do you feel affect students today?
I think the first one is obviously going to be stress. For the workload we're expected to do, I don't think we have enough time. So I think, obviously, relaxation techniques need to be introduced, as well as, the counselling improved within the university. Even it's something as simple as awareness. So that's number 1. Number 2, obviously, financial issues. We do struggle with that. And I think, obviously, the, what's it called? Chaplaincy. That's the one. The chaplaincy are always there, but again, it's awareness. I've seen people walk into the chaplaincy where they're a little bit upset, they're hard up for cash, and they've walked out, with a nice little food bag. So I think great awareness needs to be made of that. The third issue that I think students suffer with is homesickness. Obviously, that's another big struggle. It's people's first time away from home. So I think we need to address that again with some counselling services. And then the 4th issue, I think, that's a very tough one actually. Ooh.
Stroking of the chin.
I stroke beard. I'll come back to you on that one.
Thank you. Idris.
So carrying on what Joe was saying, I think money management, time management, stress management, and like I said before, being part of the community. I think if you know a lot of people, then they can help you. If you're involved more in the community, they can help you as well. So networking, really, being part of the union, being part of a society.
Thank you, Idris. Jamie.
The 4 stresses that I believe university people deal with is definitely stress. That's the ultimate one there. Probably another one would be do housing issues. It's a touchy subject, I know, but the amount of housing issues I've discovered and I've heard from people is insane. Another issue would be, again, is money. We can get student finance, we feel like the richest people in the world, and then before we know it, we balloon all our money, and it's like, uh-oh, I need to pay rent still. So teaching students very early on how to deal with money management is definitely vital. And the 4th problem would probably be maybe exercise. As students, we do sometimes tend to forget exercise, maybe. When I mean by exercise, maybe healthy eating, because we all like a good takeaway or Domino's. And sometimes we forget that we need fruit and veg in our diets. So again, there's going to be a lot of educating students, because, after all, we're here to be educated and experience things. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe.
So for most people, it is, in university, it's our first experience living away from home. And to pick 4 issues out of the challenge of that is difficult. In my own experience, I think stress is probably the number 1. And as a university, we could probably be doing a lot more to help students who are feeling stress, and that can feed into training tutors, members of staff, lecturers, etc., to be able to approach things like stress with a more sensitive mindset. I have to agree with most of the other candidates that number 2 is money. I have a terrible habit of overspending on things I don't need, or rather I need them and then they get here and now I don't need them anymore. I just wanted them when I saw them. Another one which has been flagged up with me in my discussions with some people is actually embracing your own identity is a big problem for some people in the student community. When they first get to university, it's their first time away, and it's their first time where they can really be free to express themselves. And some people, they still feel restricted, and they feel constricted, and they feel like that they can't engage with the community in the way that they want to do, in the way that they and in the way that they identify. And again, as a university, we can be a lot more clearer on the level, the many societies that we've got that can help them out with this kind of thing. As for number 4, I would probably put into time management. We all we've all been working on assignments and we've left them to the last day, and that's something we can all work on as students.
Cool. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the floor? I see that student there. If you could please stand up and ask your question.
Hiya. So it's kind of in two parts. What do you define as welfare, and then what do you define as community?
Cool. Thank you very much. We'll start with Edris on that.
For me, I think they're both connected together. The greater the sense of community that the students have, the better their welfare is. The more they feel they're separated from the community, the more they feel that they're not part of something, the lower the general welfare will be, the more stress they will have, the less support they will the less support I think they feel that they have, the less opportunities they will have, and this will definitely impact their education as well. So for me, welfare and community are both intertwined. They're both pretty much the same thing. So this is my opinion.
Thank you. Jamie.
Right. Welfare, I believe it comes with everything to do with housing, money, mental health, stress, or even just relaxation. Actual community will be getting engaged with community, for example, with food banks, or even working voluntarily, like cleaning up the beach, for example. They can all, like my colleague here said, they all link in together one way or another. This is why this position is linked together, because they work very well. Yeah, I just believe they shouldn't really be classed as a different thing, because they're definitely together. That's my answer.
Thank you very much. Joe.
So welfare is the wide-ranging spectrum of things. The number one most important thing for a student to do, I mean, I know getting great grades, good grades and things like that is fine, but the number one is looking after yourself and looking after your friends and people within the people that you know in university. So that comes into welfare, which is just, looking after yourself, how you feel, how you want other people, how you think other people feel, and supporting each other. Community, I think, feeds into that idea, and community for a student is often, number one, it's the student community. It's the other students around you. It's engaging with the union. I feel that community should also, in terms of a priority for the VP Welfare and Community and how I would define community, is the wider city community, the wider community that we all live in. A lot of us have come here from outside other places, and and community feeds into how we engage with people in the city, whether it's through volunteer organisations. I volunteer a lot myself. I'm pretty sure a lot of the students do as well. So it's twofold. It's your immediate student community, and then it's feeding what you do there into the wider city. Right.
Thank you. Joe. Excuse me.
Okay, well, welfare is actually quite it's a difficult subject to define, because it revolves around just the person. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't really pigeonhole welfare into one single category, because it involves the entire interaction with the community and as the individual. Because, I mean, it can extend from anything right the way through to physical, mental, psychological, financial well-being. And I believe the interaction with the community is how people are actually to say their welfare is fine, to put it bluntly. Because, I mean, obviously we've got peer support groups, we've got our union support groups, and everything like that. And in terms of how I define the community role, people often forget that, first and foremost, Portsmouth is a city, it isn't just a university. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that we should be able to, acknowledge the existence of the rest of Portsmouth. I read an article yesterday about the Powell building is about to be taken over as student accommodation. And I mean, reading the comments from the actual residents of Portsmouth, they had a very negative impact, and I think we need to change their perception of how students actually are. Because, I mean, that to quote one of their responses, they were dirty, scrounging lowlifes who just get drunk. Obviously, we need to change this perception of them, and engaging ourselves with the community, I think, is the only way to know how. They can't judge us until they've actually met us. So I think that's how we should define welfare and community.
Thank you very much. We've got loads of them rolling in from Twitter at the moment, so we're going to go straight to a Twitter question and then one back from the floor. So, Students who are on committees running our amazing activity groups can often get stressed. How would you support them? Jamie.
Well, due to, obviously, if you're on a committee, you're going to devote your time towards either a society or a club. Maybe talking with the executives of that particular field, so you've got AU executive, you've got media executive, and even VP activities, greater communication with all you know, making sure that if they feel stressed, just because they're in a high volunteer role doesn't mean they're not allowed to get help. So make sure that they know that if they feel stressed, they can just come down for a chat, talk things over, and if they really feel like they just can't manage the role because of workload or something like that, then maybe we could discuss something with either the committee itself or even their executives that's linked to. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe.
So obviously we have our main activities committees, you know, things like media and RAG, etc. And all of these are run by students. And as I've pointed out, and as I will always stress, is that the number one thing as a student is to look after yourself. And so I would actually say, you know, you've got your studies to consider as well. If you're getting stressed and it's because you're taking on extra responsibilities, whether it's because you're running one of those committees or if you're in a society on a committee there, take a break, chill out, and focus on the really key thing of looking after yourself and getting your degree done. That said, you know, I'm not saying you should probably drop your responsibilities because, you know, you might be the only person that can do that. Maybe there's nobody else coming forward or whatever. In that case, again, same thing we do for just about any student is we should be aiming to support them as much as we can. We have amazing well-being facilities in this university. We just need to make sure that they're using them if they need to. And also, you know, from the position of VP, we can be a lot more active in helping them out with their roles, making sure they know exactly what they need to be doing. If they need to delegate to us, if we need to be a little bit more active in helping them to fulfill their roles, then that's something that we should be doing. But number one thing is if you're getting stressed, chill out, take a break, look after yourself.
Thank you. Joey.
Well, funny enough, that's actually my job within societies. As the welfare executive is, you know, to look after the needs of both committee members and regular members. I think it all comes down to peer support. I mean, I know that there are peer support groups trying to get set up right now. So, you know, you've got those students that have been through that experience. They can take us through that experience and use, you know, what they've learned from it to help everyone else out. But I think it comes down to, you know, you mentioned earlier the biggest problem we've all got is probably time management. So I think we need that peer support group to sit down and go, okay, chill. Sit this out. Let's work out our diary. And then obviously with the peer support group, we can turn around and say, right, if you're stressed, we can dedicate, I don't know, Wednesday afternoon, 1 through to 3, to dedicate to your society. And then we dedicate this amount of time, this X amount of time to do your work. And then we can actually plan in our own downtime. So, you know, if you want to block out a Wednesday night so you can go out to Purple Wednesday, that's cool. Because, I mean, it just goes back to time management and how we can obviously manage our time to make sure we do everything we need to, but we still have time to relax. So I think that answers the question.
Thank you. Edris.
I think this is a great opportunity, actually. I think if we could set up a volunteering group and get volunteers to help jump in and help the committee members when they really need it, that way you can set up a volunteering project where volunteers benefit and they're more involved with the committee, more involved in the union, and also the committee member has a decreased workload for that time of stress. That way they benefit as well. So I think something like this would really be a viable solution.
Thank you. Jamie. Oh, wait.
I've already answered.
He has already answered. Well, hey, thank you very much. Keeping clock on me, I think that. Any questions from the floor? I see that student there. Thank you. Stand up, please.
Knowing that Portsmouth services are being cut by the government, so everything from police to mental health services to Portsmouth City Council are being cut, do you think this will make your job harder if you are elected? And if so, how would you overcome that?
Cool. We'll start with Joe.
So actually, yes, I think it would probably make it harder because one of the things that we need to be doing as a university and as a student community is connecting with services that are available in the city and connecting with the city itself. I mean, it's, you know, one of the most unpredictable general elections is coming up, and probably more cuts to our council and more cuts to you know, student services, etc., are probably on the way. You know, our university itself handles a lot of these services as well. We have wellbeing services, we have advice services. I think in the face of government cuts, we probably need to be promoting those more and enhancing their funding, enhancing the work that we do with them and getting the word out that they're there. You know, hopefully the council doesn't suffer too much or isn't suffering too much. It probably is. Most councils are at the moment. But yes, frankly, I think it would make it a lot harder, and we just need to be proactive in promoting our own services, just to make sure that all of the support is there for everybody.
Thank you. Joey?
My honest answer is no. I don't think it'll make our job harder at all. I mean, the first, going to any sort of government or council agencies is sort of a last resort. So I think internalisation would actually, of any issues we have actually makes things a lot easier. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, if we're students, we're all adults. We are students, but we are adults. We should be able to sort issues out, you know, within our support group. We should be able to have, you know, our peers come and help us. We should be able to have union staff come help us. And then failing that, that's when we, you know, if for example, if you have a housing issue, the port of call is, you know, speak to your housemates, see what they can do. Failing that, go to your landlord, see what your landlord can do. Failing that, we go to the union service. And then, obviously, it's a process of escalation. So even though the services are being cut, I don't think that it will make our job harder. I think, you know, it will actually make things a lot easier for us in the sense that we can internalise everything as much as possible and see if we can, you know, sort things out between ourselves where possible. I mean, as a last resort, hopefully we can rely on council services, on police services, but fingers crossed, it should never have to escalate to that.
Cool. We have got a rebuttal from the floor to that. If I could.
I'm quite surprised that you say no, because if the police are being cut, then the welfare of students in the city is going to be unprotected. If you're talking about mental health, the services for therapists and people who need to address their mental health concerns, the services for that, they're going to be cut. So those are two examples. You're going to be working, if you're elected as the VP for community, so you're going to be working with community outreach. So if there's less services provided by the council, I really don't see how it's not going to affect the role of VP welfare and community.
Well, no, I completely understand your point, and fair enough, but it is a point of adaptation, because I mean, you know, 10 years ago we didn't have the services we did, but we still, you know, managed to make things work, and yeah, possibly from a view that it may make things a little bit more difficult, you know, if there is less police, but then, you know, this when we need to adapt to the resources we have. You know, if the police are being cut and student welfare, you know, on a night out, for example, could be affected, that's when we need to discuss everything with the security services that we have available. For example, nightclub bouncers. I mean, we can encourage students to walk home alone. That's where, you know, the nightclub bouncer's jurisdiction ends. But I don't think something like police cuts would, in essence, demoralise us at all. I think we will learn to adapt, and we can obviously work around the police cuts. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Edris?
Being the last person is very difficult. All the good points get taken. I think we should try and engage with the council and the community and say, you know, Portsmouth University, I'm not sure if you're aware, last year Portsmouth made £198 million in profits. So this is a very big business for the whole city. So I think we can use this to advantage to engage the council and say, if you carry on with these cuts, this will definitely impact the number of students coming into Portsmouth, and it will definitely impact the whole city's economy as a whole. Failing this, and they still carry on with the cuts, because as a union we can't change the country's policy. Failing this, we should try our hardest and to improve the services we provide here and get more people involved in the union to get more services available to students. And this is my answer.
Thank you. Jamie.
Thank you for your question, because I understand when it comes to the cutbacks, because I've seen it happen. I've been affected through it in terms of future employment. Working in the organisations such as the police and having connections with the council, yes, it will have an effect, and unfortunately it's the world we live in, which is why, if elected, I know I'll go back onto the thing of student voice. I believe the student voice and the student population are very powerful when it's trying to get through messages. I know that's not a very good example when it comes to the London riots, but in terms of other speeches and riots we have done quite well. As you know, if cutbacks do keep happening to such as services as mental health, because one of my manifesto points is to increase, welfare campaigns and everything like that. I'll make sure that volunteers are introduced, because everyone likes to volunteer. Everyone feels nice after when they volunteer for about a few hours. They feel, yeah, that's not bad. Basically, it's all done sort of what the next few years is going to take, because obviously, like my colleague over there said, we're going to get a new political party in power soon, potentially, and they could do really good changes or they could do very bad changes. So again, it's just watching what the world takes, and we can take on that from there.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to take one more question, and then we're going to take a break. So this question in from Twitter. You all mention volunteering. Will you be working with VIP, that's volunteering in Portsmouth, and how will you encourage students to give up their time? We'll start with Joey.
Simple answer is yes, that I will be working with VIP. And like I have said before, I am a local, and I am very well aware of all services that offer volunteering spots where applicable. And yeah, it's simply a case of finding something that a student wants to do. If they don't want to give up their time, obviously we can't make them, but we can encourage them through incentives. Volunteering is, from employers I've spoken to, is one of the biggest things they like to see on CV. So if you can have relevant volunteering experience, for example, if someone wants to work with as a social worker with children, best place to go is volunteer at a children's daycare or something. I feel as though I have the knowledge and connections to make something like that happen. If they've got the relevant experience and relevant field, I feel as though I can make a difference with increasing the volunteering perspective of students.
Thank you. Edris.
So as the welfare and community officer, we'll have to engage with every local charity, every local volunteering organisation. And to encourage more students to take part, I think verbally communicating with them is the best way. Posting something online or giving an announcement doesn't really encourage people, but if you talk to them personally and directly, that gives the way they react to you is much different than the way they would react to an online post. So talking to them directly, engaging them directly, and kind of encouraging them directly, I think is the best way, and will definitely get more people involved.
Thank you. Jamie.
Because I volunteer myself, I do volunteer a lot of my hours throughout the week. I feel like volunteering is definitely one of the things I would like to push as welfare in the community. So, of course, I will be speaking to not only just VIP, but I also be communicating with RAG and all the other volunteering societies out there. People. I got a friend who goes beach cleaning, and he loves it because not only will it look good on your CV, you actually learn vital skills. You learn how to be a team player, which is what employers like to see. And we're all here to improve our learning and education to actually get yourselves a good job. So this is why volunteering is vital. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe.
So I think volunteering is some of the most fun I've ever had. I deliver weekly adventurous activities for young people. That's my thing. And I mean, it's difficult to make the case as to why people should give up their time for free. Especially when we've got all of the stresses of student life to add on to all of that, our living costs are quite high as students, so a lot of us probably need to be doing part-time work. I probably make a mistake in that I volunteer instead of doing part-time work, because at the end of the day I'm not getting paid for it, but at least I know, or at least I can feel like I'm making a difference in the local community. And I think that's kind of the positive message that we can be giving out to students, is that volunteering enables you to work on improving the local community. And at the end of the day, students on the whole are a nuisance. We come down here from wherever the hell it is we're originally from, and we take up all the parking spaces, we have all the loud parties, and that's a fairly negative image. It's not an image that we need to be projecting. We can be engaging with the local community more, and that's probably the best way that we can do that. In terms of actually working with volunteering organisations in Portsmouth, I would like to give them more access to the union itself, in terms of the physical location. We need to be enabling them to come here with stalls and things like that to recruit from us. One organisation that I'm aware of has great difficulty accessing the union, and for that organisation, students are some of the best volunteers that they could possibly be asking for. We're only here for a short amount of time, but the service that they can give is fantastic. And it's organisations like that we should be encouraging to come directly to us. And we need to be making it as easy as possible for them to do that. And we also need to be making it as easy as possible for students themselves to gain access to those organisations as well. It really is about making a huge difference to the local community.
Thank you very much. We're going to break for 5 minutes, so can I get 5 minutes on the clock, please? That's 5, that's 2. Get a 5, give me a 5. It's coming. Oh, maybe not. Anyway, there it is. Thank you very much. Anyway, we'll be back in 5. Thank you very much. Grab yourself a drink, go to the toilet, etc., etc. We will see you all shortly.
I'm running for your VP Welfare and Activities this year. If you guys want safer bike storage campus-wide, greater awareness of union services and more volunteering opportunities on the 2nd of March, vote for me as your #1. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Jamie Mitchell and I'm running for VP Welfare and Community. My time here at university has been a blast, and with the support available it's really helped. I wish to impose that to every single student here. Please vote for me.
I'm Edris, and I want to represent you from welfare to healthcare, from life in university to life in the community. I can speak 4 languages and I'm learning another 2. So whatever way you want to communicate, I'm here for you. Vote Edris for welfare and community.
For students' union elections, NUS recommends using the alternative transferable voting system. It is the most fair and effective way of electing a candidate. Suppose we wanted to elect one of these candidates to a single position. In some elections, you can only vote for one candidate. With transferable voting, you get the choice of saying, if my favourite candidate doesn't win, I would like this candidate to win. And if they don't win, I would like this candidate to win, and so on. If you don't like any of these candidates, you can vote for reopen nominations. This is called voting in order of preference. How is this election counted? First of all, we count all the valid votes in the election. We then work out the quota. The quota is the number of valid votes divided by the number of positions available plus 1. For example, if you have one position and 400 valid votes, the quota is 400 divided by 1 plus 1, and therefore the quota is 200. We then count all the number 1 votes for each candidate. If the candidate with the highest number of votes achieves or surpasses the quota, they win. However, if no candidate passes the quota, the candidate with the lowest number of votes is eliminated. If the eliminated candidate was your first choice, your second choice is then counted. We then add this number to the votes in the first round. If a candidate has still not passed the quota, we then eliminate the next candidate with the lowest amount of votes. If the eliminated candidate was your first choice, your second choice is then counted. If they were your second choice, your third choice is counted. We then add these numbers to the votes from the second round. This continues until someone passes the quota. Once a candidate passes the quota, they are elected. And that's alternative transferable voting. For Students' Union elections, NUS recommends...
Hi, my name is Jazz and I'm running to be your next VP Welfare and Community. If elected, I will carry on implementing all the different mental health campaigns. I will also run wellbeing sessions in May in peak exam stress, and I will also make the union more accessible for students with disability.
Hi, my name's Joe, and I want to be able to work with you, the entire student community, to make our community more inclusive and more welcoming for absolutely everybody. I will do this by creating a student action group so we can make the union more democratic and more politically active.
Hi, I'm Joey. I'm running for your VP Welfare and Activities this year. If you guys want safer bike storage campus-wide, greater awareness of union services and more volunteering opportunities on the 2nd of March, vote for me as your #1. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Jamie Mitchell and I'm running for VP Welfare and Community. My time here at university has been a blast, and with the support available it's really helped. I wish to impose that to every single student here. Please vote for me.
I'm Edris and I want to represent you from welfare to healthcare, from life in university to life in the community. I can speak 4 languages and I'm learning another 2. So whatever way you want to communicate, I'm here for you. Vote Edris for welfare and community.
Hi, my name is Jazz and I'm running to be your next VP Welfare and Community. If elected, I will carry on implementing all the different mental health campaigns. I will also run wellbeing sessions in May in peak exam stress, and I will also make the union more accessible for students with disability.
Hi, my name's Joe, and I want to be able to work with you, the entire student community, to make our community more inclusive and more welcoming for absolutely everybody. I will do this by creating a student action group so we can make the union more democratic and more politically active.
Hi, I'm Joey. I'm running for your VP Welfare and Activities this year. If you guys want safer bike storage campus-wide, greater awareness of union services and more volunteering opportunities on the 2nd of March, vote for me as your #1. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Jamie Mitchell and I'm running for VP Welfare and Community. My time here at university has been a blast, and with the support available it's really helped. I wish to impose that to every single student here. Please vote for me.
I'm Edris and I want to represent you from welfare to healthcare, from life in university to life in the community.
Now let's invite our candidates back up on stage. Thank you very much. Better. Thank you. Now, just to keep the mood cool, we're going to do another fun fact. I couldn't find too many on welfare and community, unfortunately, but this one I thought was quite cool. Cherophobia is the fear of being too happy because something tragic will happen. How sad is that? Terrible, terrible. Anyway, moving on, we're going to take a question from Twitter, and then we will take a question from the floor. So, where are we going to go? There we go. So, question from Twitter. I'm missing the LGBT Society AGM to be here. What would the candidates do to get more groups like this more involved with the union? Where are we going to start with? We'll start with Joe.
So when I mentioned that I've been discussing with society reps, one of those is actually the LGBT community, because I feel like they're a society in terms of an organization that need a lot of help in well, or could do with a lot of help, I think. Maybe that if their AGM goes well, maybe they'll sort a few things out and they'll be fine. As a community, definitely they need a lot more support. I think getting community, if we're talking about LGBT specifically, one of the things that we can do to get them involved in the union more is to be more supportive of LGBT plus issues. And the number one way to do that is to engage directly with them, to identify exactly what issues they're having, and how they feel the best ways to discuss them and to combat them are. One such thing which has been really flagged up to me in exploring these issues is that a lot of the LGBT plus community in this university, when they go out on things like Purple Wednesdays and to bars and clubs in the area, they don't feel safe. And this has a lot to do with how people in the community are treating them and how bar staff are treating them, and there's a lot of insensitivity out there. And if societies like that, if we can engage with them directly, get them involved, we have to be the ones inviting them onto the table. We don't want to be waiting for these sorts of things to just happen. We have to be able to identify that there is a problem, that there is an issue that needs tackling, and we need to be the ones that be proactive in getting those societies involved. And it says 0. Do I carry on?
Nope, you stop.
All right.
Joey.
Timer started? Yeah?
We'll wait for the time to start. Timer, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think the answer is actually a lot more simpler than that. By suggesting that, for bureaucratic issue, they are actually the LGBT plus society. But in terms of saying that, they might have a lot of problems, that suggests that, that you're marginalising them. I don't feel as though that, that they don't have problems. I think the answer is as simple as just inviting them along to things. Just saying, come on down, come say hello. We'll support you with whatever you guys want to do. I mean, at the end of the day, we are a zero tolerance university. We're not going to just discriminate because of any beliefs you have. So it's just a case of just saying, come on down, come talk to us, come say hello. Whatever you want to do, we'll do it.
Cool. I think there was a rebuttal there.
I just want to make it absolutely clear that I don't want anybody to feel like I'm marginalising them. I haven't made it a blanket statement, as in I haven't just the LGBT society as being one that has issues. I've taken the time to engage with some of their members to explore what issues they're having and what they are. I'm not going to flag up things like the bar staff issue just out of the blue. I just want to make that clear, just in case there's people from the LGBT society or whatever, watching, and people in the audience, just to make that absolutely clear. As for your final point towards the end there is waiting for them to come along to us. I really, yes, if they are identifying, if the LGBT plus society is, or LGBT society, I know the name itself is a bit of a contested issue within the society at the moment, but if the LGBT community is identifying issues and they want to discuss with us, that's absolutely fine. But where, particularly my research has indicated that there are issues that we can work on together as a union. Yes, we need to be more proactive in engaging with them. Like I said in the very opening, is that it's currently LGBT History Month. The union is doing nothing to promote that. I think we did last year, barely. And if we want more awareness and things like that, we have to be proactive in bringing those things out. And it's not just LGBT. There are other societies, other sections of the community that are having issues, and we need to explore what those are. But in no way am I ever going to just insist that I know what those problems are without actually exploring them myself.
Thank you. Did you want to reply to that, Jerry? Cool. Edris.
I don't really have anything to add to what my colleagues have said. I think just first evaluate what we're doing and if any shortcomings we have. We need to make sure we give every society all the support and all the resources they need, and make sure that everyone gets this equal amount. And the second step would be to see what problems they have and engage them directly, and try and work something out there.
Thank you. Jamie.
I've been involved with the LGBT since my first year, unofficial member, but I have many friends who are part of that society. And I want to go back to the point where he said that they don't feel safe at night. That is completely true. The police are fully aware of this as well. They do have LGBT officers, which, again, that's a software system that is undergoing cuts, which if with the LGBT society and with the VP welfare and community, we can talk to police and be like, no, we need LGBT officers on the streets to make people that are in that category to feel accepted and welcome in the community. In terms of actually having the LGBT plus society to inform help, maybe inviting groups like that, as well as I know there's other societies that have many issues. For example, Rock Society, they like to make sure that there are points to address to, and so does actually every single society there is. Maybe we can move the VP activities and all the media executives and all the very high volunteers of all the committee. We can constantly keep giving their members and everything like that, saying, hey, if you need help, there is actually help available. You're not alone, and we're all equal. We're all one because we're all here to have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Are there any questions from the floor? Cool. This student here. If you could stand up, please, and do your question.
Cool. So given upcoming cuts to disabled students' allowance and disabled finance, what one service that ASDAC provide would you want to keep the most? And if you were consulted about cuts, what service would you cut?
We'll start with Joey.
That's actually a very, very difficult question, because obviously the first port of call is we don't want any of them to be cut. But what services did you say that you want?
So it's more a case of if there was one service you had to advocate to be kept the most, what would that be? But similarly with cuts happening and money going, if there was a service you felt maybe to be cut or replaced with something, what would that be?
Are we talking within the union or within the community?
So within like ASDAC, so the academic skills and disabled advice, really should know what it stands for by now. So they provide services to disabled students. What services they provide, what one would you want to keep the most, and if you had to cut a service that they provide, what would you cut?
That's a very, 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 very difficult question to answer.
And that's why I asked it.
My honest answer is, I don't know. I would refute. My first port of call would be to argue that none of them should be cut. But my honest answer is I'm not aware of the full facilities available for disabled students to argue which one we could save money by cutting. So at this point in the call, I refuse to answer that question.
Thank you. Edris.
It's very, very difficult. I don't know what to say really. Personally, if I had to make a choice, I would say maybe reduce everyone, so make everyone forfeit a bit, so you get to keep the whole range of support, but make everyone encourage everyone to sacrifice a bit to keep everyone involved. So that's what I'd say.
Okay. Is that a rebuttal from the floor? Yeah. Microphone again, please. Last
So,
rebuttal.
so when you say cutting for that purpose, so is that like saying like some students wouldn't get note takers, but some would, some students would be provided a laptop, but some would get study skills, but some would, and it'd be a case of we cut a little bit from everybody, surely that would leave a small group of students faced by this cut, a sort of minority, while the rest of the disabled students here are allowed the same services.
First, that's not what I mean. What I mean is first ask every student if they were willing to. Sorry. First, I think ask every student whether or not they're willing to help each other and get them to reduce the services they get. I'm not saying make sure some get it, some don't get it, but reduce the amount that everyone gets by a small amount. I think this is the solution I'd have, but it's a very difficult decision to make, and I'd personally be more happy to make someone else make it than me. Typical politician, just pass to someone else,
Thank you, Jamie.
Well, we've all established that is a very difficult question, so thanks for that. I've been through the system that they provide, and yeah, they're very good at what they do. I believe that system there is available for every single student, and we are already paying a very high fee to be here. So if they're announcing that they're going to suddenly cut back, say, for example, people that need note takers down, that's going to be affecting that individual's education, and that's not what university is all about. So I would fight it. I would look at all the budgets and see if there's any, for example, if there's anything we can minimize. For example, if someone's spending too much on chips, we can say, sorry, no more chips, as an example. Yeah, without actually being physically in the position and actually reviewing all this information and data, it's very hard to comment that we want to get rid of that service, because every single service is fantastic in its own special ways, and that's why they're there in the first place. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Joe?
So I wish I could blow your mind and tell you that I did know how to approach this issue. I know people that have benefited from the services on ASDAC. One of my friends is dyslexic, so he was entitled to a lot of support. And I wasn't aware that cuts were coming. Is that the thing that they're going to cut it? Okay, so I'd probably try to defend against such a cut, because I don't think it's a service that should be cut. I think we're paying $9,000 a year to be here, most of us, and I think given that that's the fee, essential services like ASDAC are not the ones that need to be cutting. I think we could probably look at the entire spectrum of services available in the university and actually see, okay, so is there one which is actually providing a less essential service, and maybe see if there are cuts that we can make there. But you have to be so careful, I think, and it requires a lot more discussion than 2 minutes allows.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to a question from Twitter, and we're going to stay on that same topic of kind of services. So the question is, how would you make students aware of the union's role in welfare and the wellbeing services provided by the university? And we'll start with Edris on that one.
I think that a lot of the students that aren't aware of these kind of services are international students, or because they come here, they have language barrier problems, and they feel they don't like to get involved. They have some anxiety and some fear. So I think getting them involved and reaching out to them would be the next step, because at the moment I think the union does a great job of reaching out to home students, but it doesn't do as much to reach out to international students. Besides this, I think that we spend too much time trying to make the union as better, but the issue is that instead of waiting for people to come to us, we should try and set up teams to actually go and talk to students directly.
Thank you. Sorry, Jamie.
Well, in terms of international students, what you just mentioned there is obviously an international office, which is in Nuffield. They could also tell the people that come here that these services are available. These people are elected by students to stand for you, because you need to respect everyone's view and opinions. So in terms of can you remind me of the question again, please?
I can indeed, if we could stop the clock.
Sorry.
Thank you. So the question was, how would you make students aware of the union's role in welfare and the well-being services provided by the uni?
I prepared this one. Right. I believe it is vital at every beginning stage of the semester. That's where everyone suddenly eases back in. We could get lecturers, each lecturer. I know it'd be very hard to get every single lecturer out there, but it will definitely work with Education Democracy on this to actually say, hey guys, you're going to be under a lot of stress potentially. These people are available. These vice services are available. We've got the vice centre and we've got Nuffield. We're both very good services. And again, I'm going to go back on my Moodle point. Everyone at one point will visit Moodle, and if there is a Moodle split that there is for the student rep, but there's an advice, and people can actually go on there and just look at it and see what's available, as well as looking at a Q&A section, which people can actually read things and be like, oh, that's what I'm feeling. Oh, maybe I should go and see something about it. So again, there's going to be a lot of use of online and actual approaching people. So actually going into lectures and just be like, hey, we are elected sabbatical officers. We're here to help you. We're very friendly and approachable, and keep in touch with us.
Thank you very much. Joe?
So thinking back to my first year, my first week, etc., I was handed a copy of the student charter, and I mean, that's great. I know how to behave on campus. What I wasn't given directions to was, well, if I start to feel stressed, if I start to have issues, where do I go? And actually, in large part, when it comes to something like the chaplaincy, I actually wasn't aware that it even existed until last year, and I didn't actually enter the building itself until a few weeks ago. And I really wish I had, because I've had an experience where actually maybe the chaplaincy would have been a lot of help it would have been so great if I actually knew what it was, where it was, and actually a lot of the stuff in Nuffield, I didn't even know where Nuffield was, to be honest. I know we always see it, but it's just like, it's kind of hidden away. I think the thing is to work immediately from day one when students get here on Freshers Week, although that said, not everybody engages with Freshers Week. I know I didn't. Maybe that's where I went wrong. To really, really get the message out there that these services exist, and that can feed into, the handing out of the student charter and things like that. There needs to be an additional guide there. This is what living as a student is like. This is what the city has to offer. This is what the university has to offer, and we can work with our media partners to do that. I think they can communicate a student-to-student message a little bit better. And I also think, if we can engage with staff, if we can engage with tutors, lecturers, and things like that, I was really lucky to have a tutor that was able to identify that I was having a problem, and they were able to approach me, and then they were able to send me to the services that I need, and he was able to help me out himself. If we can at least engage with tutors and get them aware that they have a role in that regard, I think that would help us out a lot. But really getting the message out from day one I think is the most important thing.
Thank you very much. Joey?
Like Joe said, I think obviously when we first started, we all got this leaflet saying, this is what's available and this is where you can go. Quite honestly, I don't think that's enough. I think, again, it comes down to the cliche of lobbying the university to make sure that these services are regularly advertised, periodically, maybe weekly, fortnightly, I don't know. Depends how they want to play it. But again, it's another election cliche, but I think we need to host something like a drop-in session with different services, not just within the Nuffield service or within the chaplaincy, but have them bring a stall out to somewhere like with a heavy volume of traffic, somewhere like the Union, somewhere like Park, because I know we just had our It's Okay to Not Be Okay at the Mental Health and Wellbeing Day, where they did have that. But it's a case of that something like that needs to happen more regularly, and I think that would really help open students' eyes to where they can go if they need help. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Have we got any questions from the floor? Ooh, they went up pretty much at the same time. I'll tell you what, I'll take this student here first, and then we'll take that one there.
Hello guys, good afternoon. My question is around faith groups. As you guys are aware, we are part of a very diverse institution. We have people from all sorts of different backgrounds. So I want to know, how do you want to engage? How are you planning to engage with these groups, and how are you planning to support them?
Yes, as Mona, you can tell, we are very diverse in this university, which I think is fantastic. I love how there is so many different people from overseas that come down here, even from home students and people that come down from Manchester that comes all the way down here. I think it's brilliant that we get to communicate with all these different people. I go back to respecting their voices. They should come here and feel like that if they have an issue, just regardless of wherever they come from, they should just be able to say, yes, I need help, can you help me please? They should never be judged on just because they come from, let's I know, for example, Iceland. How to actually enforce this and make sure this happen is, again, that'll come back down to the early advertisement, pretty much stating that it doesn't matter who you are, what level you are in your course, if you just started or you're a final year, everyone needs help at one point during their university life, I believe. So again, it's just going to be making enforcing the voice of saying, we're friendly, we're going to help you no matter who you are or what you are. So that's me.
Thank you. Joe?
So just to clarify, the question was on faith groups. Yeah? Okay. So I think that can also feed, supporting faith groups and embracing the fact that we have a diverse number of faith groups with lots of people in them can feed into working with the local community. The whole of Portsmouth does have religious services for all sorts of faiths available, and I think we can open dialogue with the local mosques and the synagogues and everything else to just make sure that students, when they come into university, are aware that if they have weekly services that they need to attend, we can point them in the right direction. As for being a university, as I've just said, I wasn't aware of the chaplaincy actually until last year. And one of the reasons I wasn't is because I saw the word chaplaincy and I was just like, okay, well that has a religious connotation in itself, and it's the immediate thinking is, okay, it's a Christian thing. But when I went in there, I saw that there's Islamic prayer rooms, and they have ablution rooms and all sorts of stuff for a wide variety of faiths. Once again, if we feed back into how we need to make more awareness, how we need to make people more aware of our wellbeing services, that can feed into that. We can, do this regularly. We can have drop-ins, we can have stalls, all this sort of stuff. Just to say, that our community is diverse. We have the services and the support to embrace and foster our diverse community. And I think we can also work with the local community to do that. If I had moved to, so I'm a Portsmouth local, and if I had moved to a different city, and if I was religious, I don't know if when I got to where I moved to, I would know, where do I go for my weekly services, et cetera, et cetera. So I think, if we can work with those work with places of worship and things like that to really make that clear, that could be a real help.
Thank you very much. Joey?
Again, I think the answer is incredibly simplistic. We've the current sabbatical officers have already made sure they have an Islamic prayer space in Mercantile, and I think we need to start echoing that within all the other faith groups. And the other thing we can do to support them is make the Festival of Light a bit bigger. For those of you who don't know who it is, Festival of Light is literally a congregation of where all faith groups will, come and celebrate, regardless of faith. They don't even have to have a faith. They can be atheist, agnostic, however they feel. So I think just literally promoting that for next year, making it even bigger, and trying to integrate more students, to try and attend that. And the other thing that I think we could be doing as a VP welfare and community is literally just going along to their prayer space. Obviously, respect their religion. Turn up either before or after, just have a chat, see how they're getting on, see what they want to do, how they're getting on, what can we do for them to make their life better if they've got any issues. So I think it's just as simple as turning up and saying, hello, how you doing?
Thank you. Finally, Idris.
I think what Mario is doing at the moment is great. He just goes to all the different religious groups, and monthly really, and just talks to them. I think this is the best way. Just engage them directly. Don't wait for them to come to you. Just go talk to them and directly, and make it clear to them that I'm here for you, and I'm here to help you, and I'm here to represent your needs. So, in my opinion, the best thing is just do what Mary's doing. Just go to them and talk to them directly.
Thank you very much. What's going to happen now is we're going to take a quick break because it is quite hot up here. Then we'll take this student's question, and then we will do the candidate's question thingy-madoogle that we do, and then I will ask my question, and then we'll all go home for the evening. Cool. So if we take, I'm going to say another 5 minutes, just because there's a lot going on. If that's all right, Team UPSU TV. Thank you. Well, that's 6 minutes. We're lucky. Thank you.
Languages, and I'm learning another 2. So whatever way you want to communicate, I'm here for you. Vote Idris for welfare and community.
Hi, my name is Jazz and I'm running to be your next VP Welfare and Community. If elected, I will carry on implementing all the different mental health campaigns. I will also run wellbeing sessions in May in peak exam stress, and I will also make the union more accessible for students with disability.
Hi, my name's Joe.
And I want to be able to work with you, the entire student community, to make our community more inclusive and more welcoming for absolutely everybody. I will do this by creating a student action group so we can make the union more democratic and more politically active.
Hi, I'm Joey. I'm running for your VP Welfare and Activities this year. If you guys want safer bike storage campus-wide, greater awareness of union services and more volunteering opportunities on the 2nd of March, vote for me as your #1. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Jamie Mitchell and I'm running for VP Welfare and Community. My time here at university has been a blast and with the support available it's really helped. I wish to impose that to every single student here. Please vote for me.
I'm Edris and I want to represent you from welfare to healthcare, from life in university to life in the community. I can speak 4 languages and I'm learning another 2. So whatever way you want to communicate, I'm here for you. Vote Edris for welfare and community.
Thank you very much, and let's give a round of applause to our candidates as they come back on stage. Thank you. Keep it up. Come on. Now, as per usual, after the break, we start with our fun fact, and our fun fact is crocodiles can actually climb trees. There we go. Interesting knowledge with Grant all week. Now, can anyone remember who we ended with last time? It was Jamie. So it's back to Joe. Thank you very much. So we had this student over here who was going to ask our final question, and then we will do the candidates' questions to each other. Thank you.
Hi. People with difficulties and will find it most marginalised. How would you work with the other SABs to involve them with sport, media, cause representation, and also in future UPSU elections like this one?
So could you perhaps, if we could have the, could you perhaps elaborate on like exactly, what form of, I don't want to put words into your mouth.
Certainly with people with either mental health difficulties or physical health difficulties, still want to be involved with things. How would you work with obviously the other SABs to help them, support them in getting involved within the union and the university activities?
Okay, so we have great sports facilities, I think, for a start, and obviously physical disabilities are an obvious blocker to things like sports. So if we can encourage things like wheelchair basketball, etc., to get people who do have physical disabilities and difficulties to get engaged in sports, I think that's great. Just increase the opportunities that they have. As for things like mental health problems, I think probably a big one a big blocker that gets people that prevents people from engaging with the union is something like anxiety, social anxiety, and things like that. I guess if we can just paint a really, really positive image. There is no one solution for all forms of anxiety and mental health problems, when it comes to engaging with social activities. But if we can paint a really positive image of what the union does and how it works and how open, welcoming, and how much, how embracing it wants to be of everybody, regardless of whatever issue they have, where they come from, what their background is, etc. If we can do that, I think that's one way to just to start the ball rolling. As for a solution, once again, I have to say 2 minutes doesn't really allow, because the broad spectrum of issues that can be blockers to engaging with the union is it's incredibly vast. You just have to work with societies that represent certain issues, certain people. And you need to, you need to be really positive. You need to be positive. But as for a solution, I think that's tricky. But it requires work, and we can work to do that.
Thank you, Joey.
Well, this is actually kind of my area of specialty. I'm actually a qualified personal trainer, and it all comes back to adaptation. I mean, when you mention about having people with disabilities that want to get into something like sport, it again comes back down to adaptation. Because I mean, with my client base, I have everything from 16-year-olds who are walking into the gym for the very first time, right through to 40-year-old women with knee replacements. I have a 40-year-old guy with severe hand injuries, right through to a 78-year-old man with dystonia. And I mean, it's all about adaptation with exercise. I mean, it's all about working together with individual students to work out what their needs are, what they want to do, where they want to be, and then we can work around that, and we'll help them all the way through it step by step. I mean, the 78-year-old I mentioned earlier, he was meant to be wheelchair bound 20 years ago, and now he's actually cracking out burpees like nobody's business. And I mean, I'd like to think I help him do that, and he quite often admits he probably wouldn't be alive if he wasn't coming to the gym. But that's on a tangent. But to answer your question, yeah, it is, again, with the adaptation, about sitting down with each individual student, working out what they want to do with their disabilities, and seeing how they can adapt to each individual sport. Because, I mean, people have done amazing things at the university, right through to, some people with dismemberment have gone on to do some wonderful things with sports teams. Can't mention any names, but obviously everyone knows. And yeah, I just think it is adaptation to what everyone wants.
Thank you. Edris.
There's 2 points I want to make. The first is research. Pretending that we know what the problems are, or how we can deal with them, this ignorance prevents us from actually providing a good quality service. So I think, first of all, do a lot of research to see what specific problems they have, as in talk to them directly, like not online or something. Talk to them directly and see what problems they have, why they aren't getting involved, what issues they are facing, and also what kind of things they would like to see, what kind of activities they would like to see. And then based on this research, we can move on to provide specific welfare campaigns to deal with their issues rather than providing, because at the moment we provide a lot of general welfare campaigns based on stress and money and things like that. But with this research, we can provide specific welfare campaigns to deal with their issues.
Jamie.
Am I right in thinking that you're asking what would the sabbatical officers do for you, for people that with disabilities and all that sort of help with sports? Is that one? Was that right?
It's working. How would you work with all the other SABs for every aspect of the union?
Gotcha. Right. With sabbatical officers, obviously we're elected by students, and students will have trust that we will perform the duties we have. Sabbatical officers will be in the office together pretty much daily, I expect, with regular meetings to have regular communications with all sorts, because it might, there is titles for each particular person, but in the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We want students to have a very enjoyable time here at university. So if that means, again, I'm going to go for what's not, what hasn't been said already. You've got researching, you've got people that are actually have brain injuries and everything and really pushing themselves forward to the extreme, to the point where they're going to the Olympics, for example. Again, I think that's going to be one of those things of actually sitting down with the elected sabbatical officers, speaking about, a few people want to get involved with more, sports and that aspect, and then again asking the fellow students, okay, we've said these things, what else could we add to it? Because at the end of the day, we're here for your voices. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe. Wait, you were started, didn't you? Hey, sorry, I'm losing it today. I am losing it. So that's the end of our questions. We've had 10 to date. And what we're going to do now is to invite the candidates to ask each other or all the other candidates a question. So that can be direct or to everyone. And can we please get this reduced to a minute, because a minute for the responses, because we are running out of time. So we'll start with Joey. And would you like to ask a candidate specific or question to everyone?
Question to everyone.
Cool. Go ahead.
How do you feel that we can integrate ourselves as students with the entire community and reduce this the stigma and the negative label that we currently have?
Cool. Edris first.
Personally, what I'd like to see more is more sabbatical officers getting involved and talking to students directly. So increasing their presence in the university, their presence in the societies, and their presence in debates and things like that. And also opening a more direct line of communication between sabbatical officers and students.
Thank you. Jamie.
So integration of, I'm assuming the local residents and with the students, that's going to be one of those things I imagine nearly every single university probably experiences, especially if it's not just a campus university. How to do that is basically showing the residents that, look what the students did, for example, through volunteering. I know, I've already mentioned it, cleaning beaches, believe it or not. I imagine residents really enjoy doing that people actually take up their time to actually clean it, because the common is a lovely area when it's sunny, and the last thing you want to do is see that all horrible looking. So I would say maybe more advertisement to the local community, saying, this is what our students have done for the residents, and then maybe integrate more with the residents and community together as a whole. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Joe?
I don't think we have an entirely negative connotation, but obviously there are elements of the student community which are probably problem areas. One thing that I know of from talking to just people that live next door to students is that you have noise problems and things like that. If we can engage more with tenancy agencies and landlords, just to to really hammer home the message that students, when they're at home, need to be quiet and respectful of their neighbours. In terms of actually connecting our university to the local community, I think volunteering is probably the best way that we can do that, and actually enabling external organisations, volunteer-backed organisations, to have more time with us, with students in the university itself, engage with us. What do they need? What do they want students to do, and recruit directly from us? I think is probably a really good way to do that.
Thank you very much. Edris, Would you like to ask a question to everyone or a candidate specific?
I think all the candidates have suffered enough, and so has the audience. I think I'll skip.
You're going to skip? No problem. Jamie?
All candidates, but it's a fun question.
Okay, go for it.
If you could be a piece of fruit, why? What would you be and why?
Joe?
Does it have to be a fruit? Because, oh, really? I would have said onion, because I know it's not a fruit, but, you know, another fruit that has layers, maybe. Sorry.
Oh, dear. Joey?
This is actually the only question I've probably prepared for. I've given it a lot of thought, and I'd actually be a pineapple. Because, yeah, I'm very prickly. But, you know, once you chop off all the bits that aren't needed, I'm actually, you know, very, very sweet, and everyone likes the taste.
How fruity? Edris?
I just say a grape because I've never seen someone say I dislike a grape, so for me it's grape.
Wow. And finally, Joe, your question. Would you like it to all candidates or a candidate specific?
I'll ask it to all candidates because I like the idea of having discussion over this. And I'm so sorry to follow a fun question with one which is actually fairly serious. But you know, whatever. We have to put this kind of thing on the agenda. The union recently released a report that and two statistics in that report really stick out to me. One of them is that 50% of sex offences go unreported, i.e., people are either the victims of sex offences or have witnessed sex offences and they're not being reported. And then on the flip side, well, not on the flip side, but related to that, 6 out of 10 hate crimes go unreported. And that means that, once again, people are suffering from hate crimes or experiencing hate crimes, witnessing hate crimes, and they're not reporting them. Because as welfare and community, we have to be proactive on issues like this. What is the best way, you know, to encourage people to report crimes of that nature?
Cool. Joey?
That's actually a very dark question. But the idea of it is, yes, sex and hate crimes do go unreported, very much so. There are very vast amount of psychological reason for this. It's actually the basis of one of my essays at the moment. But the way we tackle this is working with both the police force and charities such as Rape Crisis, just to provide support for students who, and doesn't even have to be students, it can be locals who have integrated with students and have found themselves victim of these offences, and work with both of these to ensure the proper actions taken, both legally and physically. And obviously it goes back to the campaign that's been going around, and, you know, it's okay not to not be okay.
Thank you. Edris?
So in the past 100 years, we've managed to get human rights, we managed to get women's rights, and, you know, also the LGBT rights for them through constant campaigning. I think this is a good model to follow, and we should do this for these two issues. So have constant campaigning to make these two issues a public topic, and make sure and also to encourage people to be more open to talk about them.
Thank you. Jamie?
My course finally comes in handy because I've actually studied these as actual units. There is a definite dark figure of crime in both sectors there. I strongly believe one way to tackle this will actually make students feel like that they are not alone. Of course, it's unfortunate that if someone were to get raped, people around that particular person will also get affected. So basically, it comes to the word saying that you're not alone, you never will be alone, because there's always support and help available. It's going to be it's a constant battle, especially in crime statistics, and, you know, as we keep developing as a country, you know, hopefully, you know, they will eventually go down, because people are starting to realise that, hold on, I can say, well, that's not right, I need help here. And actually getting people to actually report these crimes is a whole new matter on its own, because some people, unfortunately, when they...
We have to stop you there, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Okay, so we've grilled them enough, I think, but they've got one more grilling from me. This is one hell of a grilled cheese sandwich. We'll start with Joey. No, Edris. What am I talking about? Edris, here's my question to you. If you could choose one person from history, what question would you ask them and why?
I think I'm going to take your pleasure away from you and I'm going to completely ignore your question. I'm not going to let you have the last laugh, so.
Oh, what an unsporting sport.
I think I will go back in time and ask Abraham Lincoln, was there a sole purpose why every single speech he went to, he always wore a top hat and he used to like doing that all the time? And maybe asking what was his true passion
One
to
question.
change.
Thank you. Joe.
I don't know. There's so many like historical figures that I admire and would like to have the opportunity to talk to. If I could have the chance to have a pint with Rick Mayall, I know he's not quite historic, but it's tragic that we've lost him. I would,
He's comically historical.
He's comically historical. You're absolutely right. I'd love to have a pint with him.
Cool. And Joey.
I'd actually like to go back to Russia, and I would quite like to meet up with Rasputin and ask him how he got his beard so awesome. I'm quite envious.
Cool. Thank you very much. Can we give a big round of applause to our candidates for this evening? Big round of applause. Thank you. Big round of applause to our media team at the back. Big round of applause to our media team at the back one. And a big round of applause to Team Democracy over there. Thank you very much. And we will see you tomorrow for the final question time in the 2015 series, the presidential question time. This has been your evening with Grant and your candidates. Thank you very much. We will see you tomorrow.
Hi, my name is Jazz and I'm running to be your next VP Welfare and Community. If elected, I will carry on implementing all the different mental health campaigns. I will also run wellbeing sessions in May in peak exam stress, and I will also make the union more accessible for students with disability.
Hi, my name's Joe, and I want to be able to work with you, the entire student community, to make our community more inclusive and more welcoming for absolutely everybody. I will do this by creating a student action group so we can make the union more democratic and more politically active.
Hi, I'm Joey. I'm running for your VP Welfare and Activities this year. If you guys want safer bike storage campus-wide, greater awareness of union services and more volunteering opportunities on the 2nd of March, vote for me as your #1. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Jamie Mitchell and I'm running for VP Welfare and Community. My time here at university has been a blast, and with the support available it's really helped. I wish to impose that to every single student here. Please vote for me.
I'm Edris and I want to represent you from welfare to healthcare, from life in university to life in the community. I can speak 4 languages and I'm learning another 2. So whatever way you want to communicate, I'm here for you. Vote Edris for welfare and community.
Hi, my name is Jazz and I'm running to be your next VP Welfare and Community. If elected, I will...
For Students' Union elections, NUS recommends using the alternative transferable voting system. It is the most fair and effective way of electing a candidate. Suppose we wanted to elect one of these candidates to a single position. In some elections, you can only vote for one candidate. With transferable voting, you get the choice of saying, if my favourite candidate doesn't win, I would like this candidate to win, and if they don't win, I would like this candidate to win, and so on. If you don't like any of these candidates, you can vote for reopen nominations. This is called voting in order of preference. How is this election counted? First of all, we count all the valid votes in the election. We then work out the quota. The quota is the number of valid votes divided by the number of positions available plus 1. For example, if you have one position and 400 valid votes, the quota is 400 divided by 1 plus 1, and therefore the quota is 200. We then count all the number 1 votes for each candidate. If the candidate with the highest number of votes achieves or surpasses the quota, they win. However, if no candidate passes the quota, the candidate with the lowest number of votes is eliminated. If the eliminated candidate was your first choice, your second choice is then counted. We then add this number to the votes in the first round. If a candidate has still not passed the quota, we then eliminate the next candidate with the lowest amount of votes. If the eliminated candidate was your first choice, your second choice is then counted. If they were your second choice, your third choice is counted. We then add these numbers to the votes from the second round. This continues until someone passes the quota. Once a candidate passes the quota, they are elected. And that's alternative transferable voting. For students' union elections, NUS recommends using the alternative transferable voting system. It is the most fair and effective way of electing a candidate. Suppose we wanted to elect one of these candidates to a single position. In some elections, you can only vote for one candidate. With transferable voting, you get the choice of saying, if my favourite candidate doesn't win, I would like this candidate to win, and if they don't win, I would like this candidate to win, and so on. If you don't like any of these candidates, you can vote for reopen nominations. This is called voting in order of preference. How is this election counted? First of all, we count all the valid votes in the election. We then work out the quota. The quota is the number of valid votes divided by the number of positions available plus 1. For example, if you have one position and 400 valid votes, the quota is 400 divided by 1 plus 1, and therefore the quota is 200. We then count all the number 1 votes for each candidate. If the candidate with the highest number of votes achieves or surpasses the quota, they win. However, if no candidate passes the quota, the candidate with the lowest number of votes is eliminated. If the eliminated candidate was your first choice, your second choice is then counted. We then add this number to the votes in the first round. If a candidate has still not passed the quota, we then eliminate the next candidate with the lowest amount of votes. If the eliminated candidate was your first choice, your second choice is then counted. If they were your second choice, your third choice is counted. We then add these numbers to the votes from the second round. This continues until someone passes the quota. Once a candidate passes the quota, they are elected. And that's alternative transferable voting.